All righty. So this is our quarterly webinar. We were having membership connection calls every month, and we decided to have them quarterly webinars. And this is our first webinar for starting our series off. And we are talking with Maria McCoy, and she is going to tell us some teachings around the winter solstice or around the winter months, what we used to do for our wellness during the winter months. And um, and hopefully this will help you with some of your knowledge with teachings and to share with your families.
Miigwech, Lisa. Good to see you again, Christine. Jenna, I don't think I know you, or Annabelle, or maybe I've been at some MUSAC gatherings and met you that way. But thank you for having me today. Good to see you. Um, my English name is Maria Morin McCoy, and I work at the American Indian Family Center here in St. Paul. I've been here since 2006, and my work is uh, working with families, primarily women, uh, from preconception all the way to end of life. So it's an intergenerational work with the whole family. And a lot of the work is around healing from historical trauma and intergenerational trauma. And uh, in doing that work, when we do that work, we begin to transform our lives into more beautiful ways of moving through the world. And so I'll introduce myself and Anishinaabe Moen, Buju, Mushkane Wase Banesi Kwe Indigo Makwa Indo Dem, Mikinak Wajuing Indunjaba. What I just said is my spirit name is Filling Up with Light Thunderbird Woman. I'm from the Bear Clan, and my father's family's from the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa in North Dakota. And my mother's family is French Canadian, Irish, and German. So I have two worlds within me. And I'm really humbled to be here and to share just the little bit that I've been taught. And the Lisa came to the American Indian Family Center and asked if I would speak a little bit about winter solstice celebration. So I wish I was in person, or I wish I was home. I could have set this all up on my table at home so you could see how I kind of put it all together, but I'll describe it to you. Um, what I do is if we're doing, I just did this yesterday with our treatment program here, Kunchionakan, but these stars, they're wooden stars, and on each star is one of the seven grandfather teachings, and then so seven stars are given out and decorated, and that's really fun if you're doing it with children too. And then there's three stars in addition, and they're the original instructions to live in peace, balance, and harmony. So I just put those on there. Those could be decorated really fancy if you like. Very cheap to put in the top. So, I mean, if you wanted to decorate your house for winter or whatever, you could hang them up around, put a pretty ribbon on them or a string. So, the beginning of the ceremony, a little bit is just explained about winter solstice, which is going to be happening on December 21st. I think it's really a pivotal time right now in globally and also everything we're witnessing in America. I know Minneapolis and St. Paul is also infiltrated with ice right now. So our families that have our family members that are Latino and Latina, they're living in constant hypervigilance, not knowing when they're going to come and try and pick them up or stop them on the street. And so with this solstice, I feel um, very I have to stay hopeful. Oh, and also we know our community suffers from many things too. I'm not putting any of that aside. And then also the Somali community is having a lot of raids too. So I do believe that things are going to shift on the earth, that because of all of your goodness and the beautiful prayers and energy you put out in the world and even through your work, that things are going to shift and change. And with this solstice, especially even more so, that we really focus on our children and the unborn, that are our new ancestors that will be coming in, because they're bringing in a new medicine, and they'll also make the shift on the earth to have a new way of being and thriving, um, and bring illumination to the fullest. I really believe that's what they're coming in to do. And we as adults and grandparents and great aunties and uncles, um, our job too is to fully um, support all of you in your good work, as well as the children and the new ancestors coming in. And when we do that work, we're also healing our ancestors that came before us. So it's we're making quantum leaps in a sense through the healing work that we do with ourselves and also support we give to community. So with winter solstice, I just showed the stars. With the seven grandfather teachings, I would set up on the table little tea lights or candles by each star. So in the center, I would have a candle, which I call a larger candle, which I call the light of the Creator. And I would light that candle, which I'll do right now. And with this candle, that would go in the center of the table. And then I would start with the east and place one of the stars in the east, one of the grandfathers, one in the south, one in the west, and one in the north. And then I would place a star above the north, another star representing Ishpeming, the sky world. And I would place another star right below the southern direction, or excuse me, right below the southern direction representing the earth. And I would place another star right next to the candle representing the inner light that we carry, the seventh direction within ourselves. And so a little bit would be said about the winter solstice before we begin. That the winter solstice, excuse me, also on the table, I would have kinnikinnick, but it would be mixed with some of the medicines that we might be using for winter to keep our bodies healthy, our mind, our spirits, and our emotions. And so I might add some cedar to that. I might add a little bearberry. I might add some pine to that, some bear root, some yarrow, maybe some mullein. things that keep the immune system healthy. You could even, I added rose petals to this because of the rose hips that we would make tea with right now that are packed with vitamin C. So you could add a mixture to your kinnikinnick of those medicines. And in doing that, you're asking those medicines to also come in and to help with the well-being of your body and to keep you healthy through winter. Also, there would be a small dish of spirit food to honor the ancestors, and then a little cup of water to thank um, our Nibi for all that it gives us, our first medicine, and to honor those elements that we uh, consider our elder ancestors that help us walk through life in a healthy way. And also, I would place those stars of peace, balance, and harmony, maybe above the sky world, the Ishpeming star. And I usually put my turtle on the table to remind us of the Great Flood, but also how the turtle carries that grandfather teaching of truth that it's been here since the dinosaur age. It's prehistoric, and it's been able to survive and thrive through all the changes on Earth because it knows how to adapt and be flexible. And that's a teaching for all of us. So we're constantly adapting and changing. And the turtle's been on a great migration through all the different time periods on Earth. The turtle carries everything within its shell that it needs, all the wisdom, the knowledge. It knows how to be a turtle, just like we have all the wisdom and knowledge and we know how to be humans. And if we go in deep enough, we can bring all that out and live a full life. The turtle also carries the 13 moons on its back as well as the calendar for each month. So it carries all those seasons on its back, and we have all of that wired into our bodies too. So to get more in touch with what's inside of us. And the turtle always moves forward on its journey. It may get stuck for a little bit, but it'll continue to move forward. And that's another beautiful teaching, as well as having a strong heart to move through life. So the turtle's a great teacher and healer. Winter solstice is a celebration. We're celebrating the beginning of winter Bibun. And on that day of solstice, the sun reaches the shortest day and the lowest point in the sky. And so also the night becomes the longest night of the year. And then each day after solstice, more minutes of sunlight are increasing. Winter solstice is a ceremony of looking inward to dream new seeds of beginning, and also examine negative actions and energies we may have carried within ourselves this year. We also can reflect also on any negative energies that have been projected towards us by others that we need to be aware of to not carry in our bodies, because that can also wear us down. And when I say that, we always send it back with love, not with hate, because when we carry the negativity back out, then it's not really helping the situation. It's not that we okay things, but we're not going to send things back so forcefully in a way that creates a negative action also. And then we begin by reflecting and releasing negative behaviors and energies that no longer serve our highest, truest self. And when we can then return to the full balance within ourselves and not carry the negative parts into winter. So winter months are harder on our bodies and our immune system. and we need to be more in balance to stay healthy. And through the solstice ceremony, we recommit ourselves to positive life-giving actions and energies going into the new year. And we know that our new year is in springtime. Um, I already talked about the placement of the candles, and we're also during this ceremony, which is a very simple one, we're walking from east to west. We're following that sun trail. And we're also walking through a migration. So we have migration stories of how we moved from the East Coast, moving westward to where the food grows on the water. But our life is a whole migration. And we also have a migration cycle within our bodies. We're constantly moving and changing and adapting like the turtle. So we begin the migration in winter solstice of going inward, just like our families have always done. We've lived seasonally through migration. And this time of year, if we were living the way our ancestors did, and some people still are living that way, we'd be moving into smaller camps, winter camps, and living in those smaller camps through winter, so we could survive through the harsh months and be able to thrive when springtime comes again with the delicious foods when things are really scarce in the winter. And I already talked about making this special kinnikinnick for winter solstice, and that's an intuitive knowing on your part what you feel you'd want to mix with your kinnikinnick. And we're humbly asking that kinnikinnick to help with the healing and the good health and the well-being for us to be able to live through winter in a good way. They can be also crushed and burned on the sage as you're doing the ceremony. And then if you want, then I already talked about the stars and the lighting. So I think we would start the ceremony then, going clockwise. And the first candle that would be lit would be the candle in the east, Wabanoanung, and addressing that direction and lighting the candle. And then we'd move to the south to Jawanoanung, addressing the southern direction, and then Ningabianung addressing the east, and Giwadananung addressing the north. And those candles would be lit. And then we would move upward to Ishbiming, the sky world, and addressing the creator and the ancestors and the spirits that guide us through life. And then addressing Akimama, the earth, and thanking her for all she gives us through life, that nourishment and that sustainability. And she's there to help us thrive and live life to the fullest. And then the last star that we would light is the seventh star, and that's the fire within us, the light of the creator that is within all of us. It's our spirit. And after I missed a part. I'm sorry. We would smudge off our winter solstice altar first. Sometimes you could add cedar, or if you still had any herbs you've dried from your garden, you could put that out, or any berries, or maybe you've dried some yarrow, you could put that in the circle. So you could create a really beautiful circle around the candles, and then smudge everything off, and then address all the directions that we just talked about. What I like to do, if there's more, if have it be interactive and have each person there and the children help light the candles. And then when we light, then after that, we could eat, thank all the seven grandfathers. And if anyone wanted to talk about the respect and the buffalo, what that means to them, you could go through that. That's really good for children. If you wanted to talk about that. And then after that's done, the candles then are extinguished one by one. And there would be a meditation that we would go through, because what that represents is going within and then doing that, looking inward to see what, if there's any negative actions or things we may want to work on this summer or this winter to clear out, and so we can bring that beautiful light back in. And so if you'd like to go through the meditation with me, we could do that right now. And if you wanted to just take a moment and place your feet on the ground and get really comfortable in your chair and allow any tension or stress that's in your body to gently begin to move through your body and flow down your legs as you take a couple of deep breaths in, and then blowing out any of the stress and tension you may be carrying right now, and allowing that to flow gently down, all the way down through your legs, down through the bottoms of your feet, where our dear Mother Earth will begin to recycle all of that energy and bring it back into beauty. And just begin now. If you wanted to place your left hand on your heart and your right hand on right over your belly button. This is where life began, as we began to form in our mother's body and attach to the placenta within her body. It's where the beginning of life begins. And just allow yourself to honor those two spaces of your body now. And as we begin to prepare to dream a new dream, let us begin to contemplate upon what has transpired this year. Close your eyes and go to that reflective space within and begin to ask yourself, have I taken good care of my body, my mind, my emotions, and my spirit? Have I been kind to myself? Have I expressed gratitude and reciprocity for my life? Are there things I may be holding on to that need to be released? Am I holding on to grudges and unforgiveness towards myself or others? Or you could change unforgiveness to compassion. Am I holding on to grudges without showing compassion towards myself or others? Have I been holding on to the idea that I'm not good enough, that I'm not willing to open my heart to give and receive love? What am I willing to do to heal from the effects of family and intergenerational historical trauma? Have I accepted loving and appropriate support from others? And what do I need to dream a new dream of fully living within the sacred beauty of myself within and bring it into existence? Because winter is the time of dreaming new seeds, seeds that will be seed saved and planted into the flesh of Mother Earth in the spring, the seeds of fruition for me to thrive and live a full life within. And that would reflect outward into the world. And as I do this reflection upon myself, this might be another reflection to go through for some of our women. As a part of our spiritual practice, we also actively engage in gathering and reclaiming the energy one leaves behind along our travels through our migration in life and the interactions with family, friends, lovers, and persons we may have just become acquainted with. This could include sexual relationships, casual ones, as well as long-term ones. Taking this further, thinking about everyone with whom you've ever exchanged energy with, including sex, and then compassionately return that energy back to them. Any energy you may have taken and are still carrying within. And when you've completed, begin to take some deep breaths to begin to refresh your body, taking in those cleansing breaths, breathing in and holding for 4, and breathing out, holding for 4. Doing this exercise 4 times, and in doing this, resetting our emotions and our spirit to neutral so we can act with clarity and purpose now. And when you're ready, begin to open your eyes now as we begin to light the path of enlightenment and relight the candles with the full support of the 7 grandfathers and the original instructions. And as we open our eyes, then each person that's participating would begin to relight the candles as we relight the humility, the wolf in the east direction, and respect of the buffalo in the southern direction, and wisdom, the beaver in the west, and Sabe, honesty, in the north. And we relight the candle of the eagle, love, in the sky world, Ishbaming. And we relight the candle of bear and courage in the earth. And then we relight the candle, the grandfather candle of truth, the turtle, within ourselves. Also recommitting to live our lives within peace, balance, and harmony as we begin to walk the sun trail, knowing that our days will become more filled with sunlight as we begin to move through winter towards the reset of spring. And then at the very end, songs could be sung. At the beginning, the tobacco song could be sung. The water song could be sung. And this is a song that I learned from a dear friend of mine, Tanaga Myers, also known as Yako. She was adopted by her Anishinaabe grandmother, Kinodinokwe, who lived in the UP in Upper Michigan in the peninsula. And so this solstice ceremony, she taught me. That solstice ceremony was done outside. There were 7 fires that would be lit at night, and then going through the 7 grandfather teachings, and then recommitting ourselves to releasing what no longer serves our highest purpose. So that's another way to do it outdoors. The one I just did was done indoors. But the final song is sung in the dialect up there. It's called The Blood of the Ancients. The blood of the ancients flows through our veins. The forms change, but the spirit of life remains. Patisma onek, o mishquian, di mama dizzy wind, Ishkwasi Patishmaganik Umishkwian Imamajiziwen Ishkwasi Patishmaganik Umishkwian Imamajiziwen Ishkwasi Magad. Patishmaganik Umishkwian Imamajiziwen Ishkwasi Magad. Miigwech for having me. If there's any questions, this is not a formal ceremony. You could change it and adapt it to anything you might like to, any way you might like to do it with your family. And so what's also nice is if you made a nice pot of soup or something and had a meal after, and you could put your asema out then and just have a beautiful night with the stars that evening. Miigwech. Any questions or comments? Has anybody done winter solstice? And would you be open to sharing maybe how you might celebrate? I don't know, Lisa.
I I I don't know. I think Nate was going to talk about the games that were played during the winter, and how we got the moccasin tournament or the moccasin games and the hand games, those played during the winter months. Storytelling, telling the stories of Ikotomi and um, those teachings that those bring for the Lakota and Dakota. And then with the winter count, how those were made and they were signifying what happened during that winter. Um, to There'll be a picture of something to and that would be our calendar for each year, um, with something that happened during the winter. And those are the ones that I know.
Well, I did get a text from Nate, and he said, "Oh shoot, I'm in a meeting." He's in a meeting, team meeting that he can't leave. So I think that would be it for Nate, maybe for this time around.
Okay.
And maybe you could have him ask him to come back at another time.
Yeah, yeah, I could do that.
Um,
I'll
this
stop recording right now.
okay.